Hi everybody, welcome to this video.
Hello.
We went to the Day of the Devs,
Yeah. So
and it was a hoot.
The Game Awards edition, first time that they've done this.
Yeah.
Latching on. So they had a showcase that everybody probably saw on Wednesday, and then they had the in-person on Friday. We had two media hours, and it was just open for anybody to come in.
Yeah.
But even so, like, it wasn't like crazy packed. It got fuller towards the end of the night.
Yeah,
but
I would say it was reasonable and pleasant the whole time.
yeah. And it's in the same space that they used for Summer Game Fest.
Right.
So it was like now my third time there. So I'm intimately familiar with the...
I'm very glad because I was wandering around in the fashion district waiting. Like, I was like, where is this place? And then Bloodworth is like... And I saw a bunch of like nerdy looking people going the other way. And I'm like, okay, I'm swimming upstream here. I must be going the wrong way. But like... And then Blood's like, oh, hey. And I was like, oh, hi. And then we walk into this like blind alley. And I'm just like, Blood is going to murder me. It's finally happening.
The entrance is on the back side of the building.
Yeah, it's in the back of the building. It was actually quite lovely. It was a cool space.
Yeah. Definitely packed more stations in there.
Yeah. There were like 50 maybe?
Yeah, they said 40.
40, okay.
Yeah.
That was just a guess. So.
I missed the couches. There were some games, especially the Wasta games, where I'm like having to stand up and have a screen like right here. And like...
I told that to John Gibson from I Am 8-Bit, who's like one of the people running it, and I was just like, chairs. I was like, beanbag chairs? Something? Like, next time.
Or even stools. 'Cause some of them had stools, but most of them didn't.
Yeah.
But otherwise, pretty good setup for the amount of people that they had there. And then, John Gibson and Greg Rice basically putting it on. And then, all kinds of, everybody was around. Andrew was there. Shuhei was there.
Yeah.
Friend of mine from Nintendo was there.
The people who worked on Immortality, got to talk to them. That was super cool.
Right.
Yeah, really neat.
And then we saw a bunch of stuff. I've got like notes on 7 games. I don't know how many you ended up seeing. I think you might have gotten around to more things.
I think I might have. I didn't count them.
Because you were there a couple hours longer than me. Plus, we only did like a couple of appointments. Like I started getting all these appointment emails that like later in the week. Like I can't book anything else. I'll just see what we can see.
I've got 11, but 2 or 3 of them are really quick.
Nice.
And 1 or 2 of them are just ones that I watched for a while and didn't play.
Yeah. There's some things like over the shoulder. Like I didn't get around to, like the light gun games.
But like I talked to the guy who made Whisker, Squadron, Survivor for like 20 minutes because he's the guy who made Race the Sun, and I was like, I love Race the Sun. Yeah. So.
Nice. I'll start off with Crowsworn. I don't know if you got to play this one.
No.
So this is like openly inspired by Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Has somewhat of a similar look in terms of the art style and kind of the hand-drawnness of it. But you're playing as this guy in like a pinkish purplish cape and top hat with a plague mask on.
Love it.
And when you start the demo, like you don't even have a weapon. You've got your fists.
Oh, okay.
But your fists, they're just your fists. Like
Pugilism.
you can't smash doors with your fists. You can't break the crystals or whatever. So it's like you have like kind of the first step in your Metroidvania is to like get a weapon.
I kind of like that. That's cool.
Yeah. And then you have so the first weapon you get is a scythe. And it can do the down stab kind of bounce thing, just like in Hollow Knight. He said later in the game there's like guns too.
Oh.
So that's kind of a little bit of a differentiator. There is a flask that's sort of Souls-ish, but it's the cooldown on that is like hits. So if you hit like 15 enemies or something, you get a charge back on your flask for your health. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's a nice kind of way to like risk reward on your boss fights or whatever. It's like, all right, stay alive a little bit longer. Your roll can roll past enemies.
Okay.
Which is nice. So like, because some guys will have like shields and stuff, and so like you roll past them and then hit them in the back. And the 2 sort of main enemy types I saw were like these kind of like fleshy looking dudes. There wasn't like a whole lot of detail. There's like this red flesh color Some of them had shields, some of them didn't. And then there are like these kind of like globby things that look like something out of Metroid, like going around platforms and stuff. The quote unquote bonfire is actually a dude.
Some guy.
Yeah, just some guy that's there now and then called the Keeper.
Okay.
And you
Fire
talk to him
keeper.
and your health refills and all that. The level was an abandoned mine. The death animation is pretty cool because like it goes to like a fully like animated little scene and like it kind of zooms in on your chest and then crows burst out of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, are you a like anthropomorphized crow yourself?
Yeah.
I don't know what your lore is in this.
Yeah. There's a shot in a movie where a bird flies out of somebody's chest. Is that Jodorowsky? Who's that? Whatever.
And then
Sound off in the comments. What a Jodorowsky film shot. Maybe it's Tarzan. I don't know.
the one boss I fought was just kind of like, it might not be technically a boss, might have been more of a mini boss. But he was just like a bigger one of the shield guys.
Okay.
But he would also sort of like do this like bull charge attack. So you would roll through that and then he would hit the wall and you would try to like get him while he's stunned, but then there's also boulders that come down. So like
okay.
half the time you're getting hit by the boulders.
But it sounds like it's pretty quick and snappy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think the controls are good.
Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, they have to be in this kind of a thing.
Right.
It all rides or dies on that game field, baby.
And then he skipped ahead and showed me another boss that was like basically like on a bridge in like Anne Orlando kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
And he was a spear guy, like dragoon, sort of like jumping around,
My old nemesis.
tossing like huge
Spear
raised
guys.
spears down at you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, pretty cool, quickie.
That sounds cool. The first one I played was called Horses.
Yes.
Very immediately, we were like, well, I've got to play this one. I was saying to the devs after I played it, I was like, I almost wish that the trailer didn't have to show any of the horses. But on the flip side, you have to sell the game, like to pitch. It's the pitch of the game. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
So it is styled like a silent film. So there are no sound effects. There's no spoken dialogue. When people talk, you see their mouths move, and then it cuts to a card,
Nice.
full screen card
Okay.
of their talking of the dialogue. The only sound in the whole game is the projector.
Okay.
So you're like watching the game as a movie, and it's first person. You're walking around. It's grayscale. You know. Occasionally it'll cut in FMV stuff,
Right.
like styled. I imagine it was shot digitally, but styled to look like old film. Maybe it was shot a film. I don't know, but I doubt it. Yeah, so you are going to work on a farm with a strange farmer, and he's, it starts off normal enough. He's just like, okay, you're gonna have some chores. Thanks for coming to help me out. Let me show you around. Like, here's the vegetable garden. These are the carrots. Why don't you pick a couple of carrots? See how that goes. And over here's the. This is your room, this is my room, please don't go in there unless I give you permission, and like, there's a faint air of foreboding building,
Right.
as you're going, and, then he's like, that's the shed, never go there,
Right.
and then
Yeah, why
he's
never
like,
go to the shed?
Yeah, and then he's like, let me introduce you to, or let me, like, show you my horses, they're my pride and joy, and it's like, do you like horses? And, like, one of the, like, you answer questions with, it'll have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or it'll have faces. So it's like big smiley face, kind of unsure face, or frowny face sometimes. So that's how you respond to this guy, So then he takes you around back, and the horses are just naked humans with horse masks on and metal collars, and they're all just standing crammed in a pen, and it's real weird. And then he's like, hop on, let's take a ride.
Oh, no.
And then so it cuts and you're like on the shoulders of this naked dude running, and it's like it's blurred out. The tops of the ladies and the bottoms of everybody are blurred out. Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's pretty weird. You get the sense that it's like gonna get real dark and strange.
Mm-hmm.
One of the horses, kind of like hung themselves.
Oh boy!
While I was having breakfast one of the days. So yeah, it gets very dark, I imagine. Yeah. So if you're not into that, yeah, definitely it's a weird game. I didn't get any sense of like what, if anything, the commentary is
right.
here. But I imagine there's something. I talked with the devs for a while. They were interesting guys. They were fun guys. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's a weird, like fun stylized thing. Like hopefully nothing too crazy happens that's like actually problematic or something. But it's like definitely like, goofy, like very, very dark humor kind of game. So if you're into that,
Nice.
horses.
Yeah. Very bizarre. Very bizarre.
Very weird.
A different kind of weird. I got to play Thank Goodness You're Here.
Oh, yeah.
Which you might have remembered from a few showcases back. They had a really fun song.
Mm-hmm.
And
a slap former, they say?
yeah, slap former.
Slap
So you basically solve all the problems by like jumping on things and slapping them, and
Just like real life.
yeah, and yeah, they definitely like emphasize like, yeah, this is for people that really like British humor.
Yeah.
Because there's like a lot of that, a lot of accents being thrown around, a lot of like just really strange, bizarre situations. And you play as this tiny little guy. You start off, you're like stuck in a chimney, and a chimney sweep just like, oh, a toad in a hole, and just like jams you down the chimney, and you pop out in this guy's house.
And that's how the game starts.
Yeah, that's how the demo starts at least. And then a lot of it sort of reminds me kind of Untitled Goose Game a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's like
It has that vibe, yeah.
yeah, because it's like you wander out there and there's just like people have these situations that you have to solve, but they're also, they seem sort of mundane, but then the solutions are just like way out there. Mm-hmm. So like the first guy is like, oh, this gardener, he's wanting to water this tomato, and the water's off, and you go and you hit the thing on the hose, and like it's not turning on. So it's like, okay, you start following the hose. You follow the hose down a well. You go into the well is just dried up and filled with trash.
Oh no.
And then this little worm pops up, and he's like, hi, I'm a little worm. And he starts like giving you a speech. And at any time you can just like slap the worm and then open up a hole in the side of the well and go through a tunnel where the hose continues to go.
Oh.
And you go through this tunnel, and then you're in like this like freezer or whatever, and then you see the hose is hooked up to a sink in this like fish shop.
Okay.
And so then you turn on the hose from there, and then you pop out in the guy's fish shop, and the guy sells fish and cigarettes. And he's like, help me get my stall ready. And so you just go around slapping slap the fish, and cigarettes will pop out of their mouths. And then you slap the cigarette packs, and then fish will pop out of the cigarette packs. And then you slap the fish, and then the cigarettes pop out of the fish.
This feels like, I mean, maybe this isn't right, but it feels like the old Monty Python games, kind of, where like just crazy psycho stuff will happen like that.
Yeah, and then like there is like some like food truck or whatever, but you could see there's like just huge butt in the window, and you can go up and you can slap the butt, and the guy kicks you out and closes the shutters, and is like, no smacky bum bum or something like that.
What the fuck?
And then
The little man's assaulting random strangers and creatures all over this town.
yeah, and it is like you help people like make a pie, and you have to like go and find the meat vendor, and then you have to do something with the pie stuff, but then like the pie stuff like gets on you, and so like you jump into the oven, and then you're in the oven with the pie stuff.
I saw that.
And there's like smoke filling the room or whatever. And then
there was a box in that room that said hairs that are too obvious to put in the pies.
Just all kinds of little details like that.
Yeah.
Just random people around. It's so crazy. Really funny.
That it looked goofy. The fish cigarettes thing is very funny to me. I do like British humor, so. Okay. Speaking of humor, okay. The next one I checked out was called Drag Her.
Oh yeah.
Which is a drag queen fighting game with real drag queens. They've got like Alaska in there. They've got Kimchi in there. There was one other one in the demo. I don't remember who it was. But yeah, like.
Did you see them at the show? Because I saw some people around at the Game Awards themselves, but I didn't see anyone yesterday.
The actual queens?
Yeah.
They weren't. I didn't see them there yesterday. No.
Okay.
I would have probably recognized them. But so it's a drag queen fighting game. They say it's MASH friendly, but has like lots more depth if you know what you're doing. There were definitely combos and like beautiful, like really cool. Like Kimchi had like her super was like a Sailor Moon transformation kind of a thing. You know, it was very fun. But like the reason I remember it is it has the best like logline blurb that I have ever read in my history of gaming, perhaps, where it was Drag Her, a drag queen fighting game that dares to ask, what if Mortal Kombat were less gay? Which is so funny to me. But yeah, it was really cute. Kind of like an animated style. Really neat. I don't know. Fun. I played a few rounds of it.
Nice.
With the people there. Yeah, it was fun.
I got to put a good amount of time. I've actually finished this demo for Despelote, which has again been in a few showcases now. This is I believe it's set in Ecuador.
Okay.
With a kid who just really likes soccer, and the way this whole game is presented is really cool and interesting, and like it's it really communicates that sense of being a kid in a grown-up's world. And so basically most of the world and like the environments and stuff that you walk through and explore, like it's hard to even describe the style. It's like kind of out of focus. It's kind of blurred out. It's sort of like if you just like took like one screenshot of it, it would sort of look like something out of a bad copy machine.
Okay.
But then the people and then like other things that your character is interested in are just these black and white, like really crisp focus, like black outline and then just like white imagery. So like
is the whole game black and white, or?
Well, that's the thing is like the characters are just black and white, but no kind of shading at all. Like just like a pencil sketch kind of a thing almost, or like something out of MS Paint, you could say possibly.
Okay.
But then the rest of the world is like monochrome, but that color sort of shifts from scene to scene. So sometimes it'll be blue, sometimes it'll be green, sometimes it'll be reddish.
That's cool.
And yeah, like he's like really likes soccer, and so it's like, you know, one of the first things you do is it's like you're in class, and then it's like recess, and like you go out and you start playing soccer with your friends, and it's really cool the way that the soccer controls are because you do it all with the right analog stick.
Okay.
And so you do left and right to dribble, and then you can like flick it up to do like a quick shot, or you can like hold back on the stick and release to like do like a more powerful shot.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're out there and you're in these environments, it's like, oh, and yeah, there's you just push the A button or whatever to do, hey. You just like hey to people.
One of those. I love that. I love a good hey button.
Yeah, and so like
Red Dead Redemption 2, dude, on the horse all the time. Howdy, all the time.
And then so like when you're like playing soccer with your friends and just kind of kicking the ball around and stuff, you know, you can hey and they'll like kick the ball to you, and you just sort of based on like where you're at in the moment, like different things will sort of become the goals.
Okay.
You know, it's like you're not like on a proper field or whatever. It's like, oh, the kids will stand over by, you know, this thing. It looks sort of like a goal, and you kick it past them, and then, you know, and then everyone's like, goal. But then it's like when it's time to like go back in from class, you guys can just kind of like just go skip school basically and just run off.
I wonder what happens if you just go back to class.
Yeah, I do too. But that's where your friends were going, so you just end up following your friends. But there's and then like there's another scene where it's like you're coming home from school, you're there with your family. They tell you, oh yeah, you're sitting up in your bedroom and mom calls you down for dinner. It's like one of those moments. And then you can hear your mom and dad talking about stuff. Your sister's over there in front of the TV, and like you can go and sit down on the couch and like turn on the video games and like start playing a soccer video game. And then the sister like complains like, why do you get to use the TV and I can? Because I guess maybe she's younger or something.
Yeah.
And then you sit down for dinner, and then while you're sitting down for dinner, you just kind of like zone out, and then you kind of get teleported to like this green field where like every time you kick a soccer ball, another soccer ball falls from the sky.
Oh, fun.
Because it's like your parents are just talking about stuff you don't have any interest in, and so that's what you're thinking about. And then the last scene was like in a park, and this was kind of cool too because it's like you could play like with the soccer ball with the other kids, but your mom had told you to like stay put. You know, like she had said, "Hey, wait here for me, and I'll be back soon." But then you can kind of wander around the park. There's like a guy feeding pigeons. There's like a couple on like a picnic blanket and all this kind of stuff. And you can even like wander off down the road into like these shops, and you're like,
"Oh, whoa.
Where are you at? You should go home. You should find your mom or whatever and stuff like this." But with the hey button, it was really interesting because different people would react to you differently, you know, and like there's like a dog sleeping under like the playground equipment, and he's like he growls at you, but another guy walking his dog, he's like, oh yeah, he's friendly, and you can pet him and stuff like that. And then there are these older kids that were playing soccer too, and if you go and try to play with them, then they get upset with you and they take their ball and go home.
Oh,
it's like so.
That's not very chill, guys.
But again, it's like there's just all of these little conversations happening all around you. It's like you're not the center of attention. You're just like experiencing this world, and so it's really interesting. And then you can even like be out there, and then like it starts getting dark, and you start to see the street lights coming on, and then you hear like this guitar, and you can go up back into the middle of the park, and you see this guy playing guitar, and you can sit down there and listen to him, and then like your mom comes. It's like, I've been back and forth a couple of times, and you disappeared, and that's basically where the demo ends. Yeah. Is your mom scolding you for wandering off when she told you to stay put.
Yeah.
It's a really cute, cool little game.
Yeah, that sounds. I mean, how you introduced it sounds totally right. Like, it captures being a kid in an adult world. Like, yeah, what's it called? Despelote.
Despelote. Oh yeah, and there's one part too in the playground where there's like some metal sculpture or whatever, and you and the other kids were just having a blast, just like kicking the soccer ball against the metal and like hearing the boing that it made. Yeah.
That's such a kid activity. Oh my God. Despelote. Sorry, I had to do that. Got stuck in my head immediately. All right. Okay, I'll do two in a row here because one of them I just was told about. Combo Devils.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you played this one.
I haven't played it, but I saw the booking come through or whatever.
I was watching them, and it's the style of it is really cool. It looks visually really neat. It's like a Smash Bros. Kinda. But I was talking with the lady there who was representing the booth. I don't know if I caught what she did on the project, but like I was like, yeah, I'm awful at fighting games and especially Smash. Like my brain just doesn't work like that. I don't think in combos. Like it's just
well, who Charlie who came over here the other day and given Nickelodeon that's one of the first things he was talking about.
But she was telling me that there's a roguelike mode in it.
Oh, okay.
For the story mode or whatever, which sounds pretty sick to me. I don't know. It looked cool. Okay, then my next appointment was Mars After Midnight.
Yes.
Lucas Pope's new game, which is for the Playdate. Guy who made Obra Dinn and Papers, Please, right? Yeah, so you're on Mars, and you're working at a basically like community center.
Okay.
And in the demo, the kind of tutorial thing is it's like an anger management for cyclopses.
Okay.
And so your tasks are you use the crank on the side of the playdate to open and shut the kind of like the classic like shutter peephole on the door, right? It's
Got
like
it.
a big slit, right? And it's cool because you can use the D-pad to like look left and right and up and down so you can get like
Got the lean.
The lean, yeah. So, and it's cool because like it parallaxes and like you can see more of the alien outside or whatever. So yeah, different aliens will knock on the door, and for the demo for this scenario, it was a Cyclops thing, right? So the back of the flap had like a one eye with a frown, like okay, and then it was two eyes with a smile or whatever, a straight line mouth, and it was like no, and then it was like one eye with a smile, no, like only angry Cyclopses get in, right?
Okay.
So then you hear a knock, you flip open the thing, and you kind of examine the alien outside, and you say, okay, well, you've got three eyes, I'm not letting you in. So you like shut the flap and wait for another knock, and you open that, and then you're like, okay, well, you've got one eye and you're frowning, so I'll let you in. So you hit A to accept them in, and then it plays a little cutscene of the alien kind of like boo boo doo boo doo walking in, and then they will eat. There was dune beetle pie, I think, or dune bug pie. Dune bug pie, that's what it was.
Dune bug pie.
Dune bug pie. So they'll have a slice of pie, and they'll, their back is to the camera, and the spread is in front of them, so they're blocking it, and they like, and then it gets all messed up, right? So it's supposed to be plates, pie, like whatever it's called, pie scoop, pie spatula. What's the name for that thing?
Pie cutter.
I guess. Pie cutter, and then the little sign, right, that says what it is. But they always like stack them up and put them all random. So you're an alien as well. You have three eyes and a little beak and tentacles, and you have left tentacle, right tentacle. And so
fun.
You use the D-pad to move your tentacles, and they both go like this, and that's what you're selecting. And then you say B to hit your left tentacle and A to do your right tentacle, and you can move them up or down. So like if it's plate, sign, and then pie, spatula, plate, or whatever, you have to lift everything, use the crank to do a little vacuum sweeper thing to clean the table, put that back with the crank, and then move things around and use both your tentacles to put the plates all on the left, the pie, the cutter, and then the sign in an order. And then if you do that right, it like the table goes like bring, like shines, like it's clean and ready to go. And then you hear another knock. And so then you go and you repeat the cycle, right? And there were 6 pieces of pie and 6 Cyclopses. And so I happened to get them all right. I didn't let anybody... I was racially profiling these aliens for how many eyes they had, right? But it's a Cyclops anger management thing. So I'm only letting in sad Cyclopses, I guess. And they get their Dune Bug Pie, and they put a little Mars credits into the box, the donation box. And then... yeah, and then you get like graded, I guess. It was like yeah, everyone paid like they've donated, so I guess I pleased everybody.
Got it, yeah.
And then the pie was gone at the end, and it got
what would have happened if you let somebody in that shouldn't be there?
I don't know.
Okay.
And it got faster as it went. Like I would be mid cleaning up the table and I'd start hearing a knock,
Oh, wow, yeah.
And like I got there fast enough that nothing went wrong, but it's just the first demo thing. So I'm like, okay, I can sense where this is headed, right? But then the thing that got me really interested in it was the thing that happened after where it shows a map of Mars, and there's the off colony, the Mars colony, and the wastelands or whatever. And it shows where the aliens that went to your thing went back home to, like the districts.
Oh.
A bunch of districts. And then you got to plan the next nights, because it's always at night. You got to plan the next night's thing. So you got to pick who it was for. And I was going to pick the 6 singers, but I don't know what that means because the demo ended after this part. But and then I got to pick which districts to advertise in. and that costs money. And so I only
okay.
had the money that I received from donations from the previous day. And then I got to pick the menu, and it shows like it shows you where the people you're targeting are. So you target the ads for just that area, and you want to only hit where they are and not waste money on targeting other areas, right? Because they're not there. And then you want to see what kind of food they like and try to average out like, because the two groups might not like the same thing, but you try to get like as many of them as you can, like with ice soup or dune beetle pie or whatever. Yeah, one of them was ice soup. And that costs money too. And then you buy that, and then it sets up for the next day, and that'll be your challenge. So like it looks like it has a whole bunch of different challenges where you're going to like, and some of them seem really hard. Some of them are like the wobblers or whatever. And it's like, okay, so I imagine those aliens will be like shaking, and like, or like, the one I picked was the singers, but like the demo says, thank you for playing the demo right after I planned the next day. So I didn't get to actually see it, but I get the sense that it's definitely going to get very complicated very fast. So if you've got a play date, that's that. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be out on something else, but it's coming out next year, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
sometime,
funny thing. Like, I haven't seen and I don't foresee a lot of Playdate ports.
No, yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting little thing there.
Yeah. It was cool, and I like Lucas Pope, so yeah.
Nice.
Seems like it'll get real stressful.
Yeah, I didn't get super far into this one, but I played a little bit of Sulfur.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and this is
They had a T-shirt if you beat the Goblin Cousin or something.
yeah,
like that?
something like that. Yeah. So this is like it's a first-person shooter roguelike, kind of cartoony style. I'd say sort of like almost South Park-ish adjacent in that like the like enemies and stuff you're fighting kind of look kind of cute and stubby, but then like you shoot them and then pools of blood or go all over the floor. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if it is a New Blood game, but it looks like a New Blood.
It is not. It is
okay.
not. But Dave Oshry was there. I don't know that he had any games there. I think he was just checking stuff out.
Yeah, there were a few other people, like night school people were there, but they weren't showing anything.
But yeah, so it kind of combines like guns and like magical stuff that you can get. Like, I think you can even combine different spells and stuff. And kind of sort of typical roguelike thing is like you go into a series of caves and like you kind of like search out the level that you're on, and then there will be like another hole to jump down to go down to the next level.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's also there's a stash, and I don't know how because I didn't get that far in. I did most of this was like kind of watching over somebody else's shoulder. But there's a stash at the entrance, and so you can take stuff and put it in a stash for the next run.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But
Yeah,
for
and
the
I saw
most,
there were like some shops too that you
yeah,
could buy.
there's definitely shops and stuff down there. As you go through, you come across different shopkeepers. There's like cauldrons in there where you can like cook different foods. So that's one of the
okay.
things too, is like learning recipes and learning like what different items do what. There's a lot of different types of mushrooms, and I was a fool, and I grabbed some mushrooms and I didn't fully read the descriptions, because that was one of those stations where I was like fully like Wazda in my face right here.
The TVs were huge, like 50, 60-inch TVs, and like the cables for the headphones or the mouse and keyboard, so you're sitting like 8 inches away from a 60-inch TV.
But I wasn't even sitting, so it's like my hands
or
are like
standing,
doing this, trying to Wazda.
So you're like this, trying to Wazda. Yeah, a couple. Oh man.
But anyway, so I didn't, and demo, you always like kind of skim over things in your head in a demo.
Yeah.
So like I
I'm
picked
always
up,
panicking, and anytime there's text, I'm just like, I can't read that. I don't have time.
yeah. So it's
Then
like
I don't know what to do.
I had picked up a bunch of mushrooms, and and that's how I was refilling my health. And I picked up some mushrooms that were bigger. And I was like, oh, those will refill more of my health. I was like, no, they don't.
Oh.
I ate them and I poisoned myself and I died. But apparently you can cook those to use for like weapons and stuff. Make little poison poison pools that would be like an area of effect damage
cool,
for like
okay.
anything that's there. I also saw like people picking up throwing knives and Molotovs and stick grenades, like German like World War II stick grenades.
Whoa.
But what was cool with that is that there are times when you're going through these caves and you'll see like, like a wall with a crack in it, kind of Zelda style. And so like if you have an explosive, then you can smash down that wall and go through there. You also have like, I guess like a sword or something. So if you want to save bullets, you can get in close on a guy.
Okay.
And whack him instead of shooting him. It was funny because the water is like super green. And I was like, I don't know if I should go in there.
Yeah.
But there are times where there are like these chests that are floating in the water. And what was really funny about it was I'd gone to one of those chests and I popped it open. And then the thing that was in the chest is like a physical object. And so it just sinks under the water.
Uh-oh.
And like I dive down and it's just a huge freaking hole that I gotta like swim to the bottom of to pick up whatever the heck came out of that chest.
Oh man.
And then swim back up and then
I wonder
find
if you
a
can
way
move
out.
the chest out first or.
Yeah, I don't know about that because again, like Wazda from far away and not knowing what all the keyboard commands are, because that thing was usually just E to interact. So I don't know that you would have been able to have picked it up because I think the same button to pick up and open. Yeah. Possibly.
What game does this remind me of? Eldritch or whatever? Where it was like going down levels and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what else I saw there. Yeah, there was just some regular guys that would run at you. There were some archers that would obviously be kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. A lot of ladders.
Yeah.
A lot of climbing ladders and jumping on mushrooms to get up to areas. But yeah, I definitely want to put a little bit more time in. I don't remember. I think there may be a demo out there that you might be able to check out. But cool little game.
Yeah, it looked really neat. The next one I checked out was Kind Words 2.
Oh, nice.
Which, if you're unfamiliar with Kind Words 1 is a game where you basically just say nice things to real other people. So you'll get messages, you'll send messages out, and like you can ask for advice. You could say like, "Hey, I'm having a hard day" or whatever, and like people will write back and give you kind of encouraging things, right? And I was talking to the dev, and he was saying that people were like wanting to use Kind Words 1 in ways that were outside the scope a little bit of the initial idea of just, send out a little tiny short message. People were trying to get like recommendations and for like books and TV and whatever, and like write poetry and like do this and that and whatever. And so Kind Words 2 is meant to facilitate that. It's meant to, and like people always have wanted character customization and room customization and all these things. And so Kind Words 2, you have your home and you can change the way it looks. You have your character and you can change the way they look by going into a little shop, and you can change your clothes and hair and whatever. And it's really cute. And there's an actual 3D environment that you can walk around in now, which I don't think Kind Words 1 had. It's been a minute since I played Kind Words 1 at like Indiecade 100 years ago, so my memory's a little foggy on it. But it's got a very beautiful, like cute style, very colorful. Everything's really like cute, not chibi really, but like, you're kind of a squat little short person, and like the buildings are really kind of little dioramas, I guess. And so you come out of your home into a little like city street kind of. There's a park next to you, and there are people having conversations, and those are like real people having asynchronous chats. So you can be like, "Hey, how are you?" And then like that'll be out there, and then someone else later can come up to your little avatar or whatever. I don't know if it'll actually be a representation of you in their world or not, but and then they can respond, and like, so you can listen to these conversations that other people are having, or if there's one person walking around, that's like a prompt that you can respond to.
Got it.
And from the home, you can send out, it's like Kind Words 1. You can send out messages, receive messages, like accept requests, where it's like, these are a bunch of messages that exist that no one's responded to yet, or enough people haven't responded to yet, Then you can go into the shop there. You can go and change your clothes and stuff. There's a coffee shop where you can listen to poetry. So
nice.
You'll read it. But the avatars take turns going up to the mic, and then they read a poem that someone has written. and then they go back and sit down, and then someone else walks up to the mic and they read another poem, and then it's so cute. And you can write a poem and go up and do it, and you're actually typing things, you're actually reading real things, and there's a little male deer, like mail delivery deer, who's the person, the deer who delivers all the letters, and the kind of framing device is like, hey, don't be a jerk, like I'm one little male deer, like I do my best to keep everything safe and but like these are real people, this is not a place to do meetups, don't give out any real information, just this is a place to be nice and encouraging and
this is named Buck.
Support each other. I don't know if he had a name. I think it was just male deer.
Okay.
But he had a little male hat on, and that was so cute. Yeah, and so then at first I was like, oh, cute. Okay, this is neat. But then I noticed there was a bus stop, and I was like, oh, okay. And I got on a bus and was in a different area. And so then I'm like, oh, there are 4 or 5 whole different zones, and some of those have, like they're under construction right now, but they're like, oh yeah, the chain letter forest will be open later, But yeah, there's a plaza where it was mostly conversations. There was a snowy mountain where it was more about like listening to paper or reading paper airplanes. Like people can just send messages out into the world, and then they become paper airplanes. If you click on a paper airplane, you read a little message, and I don't think you can really respond to them. You can favorite them, and they'll show up in the Hall of Memories, which is a different building somewhere else. And then you can go up onto the mountain and do different little activities. And then if you go into the sewer, that's where the memory hall is. And then there's also something called the Wiggling Void, which is just this like broken, the street kind of breaks, and there's this like cute little like wobbling kind of octopus creature made out of like slime or mist or whatever. And it's basically like you scream into the void.
Okay.
And it's like you can write stuff and it doesn't go anywhere. It just goes in and dissipates into the void,
Nice.
And it'll even say like the void has already forgotten what you said, So that's kind of cool. I just wrote like,
That's like reading. Yeah, that's like writing a tweet and then deleting it.
Yeah.
It's like, I got it. All right, everything fits in the character spaces, and I got it all laid out, and no, I'm not sending that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so it's like even just playing it for a few minutes, and like it was fun because some of the paper airplanes were like having a great day of the devs and stuff. So it was like clearly other people who were at Day of the Devs had said these things, and it was like, and it was really just really sweet because it does encourage you to be positive, and like receiving these positive things, it just left me feeling better, And
nice.
It was all in all just a really pleasant experience, and I'm glad they're making it. Yeah.
All right. Well, very, very opposite of that. Dome King Cabbage.
Oh yeah, I wanted to look at that.
Yeah. This is so. I walked up to this because it was giving me sort of Katamari-ish vibes.
Oh, weird. The section I saw looked like Zelda.
With its bizarreness. Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay. That's all I saw, so now I'm very curious.
I think this game is maybe trying to replicate what it feels like to be on drugs or something. I don't really know
what
I played through the whole demo and I still don't know what it's about.
It's about Dome King Cabbage.
Yeah, well, what does that mean?
I don't know. I'm not even sure I said it right.
So a lot of the visuals are like basically made out of like toys, like kind of like stop motion, like filmed, photographed, or scanned in toys, like physical objects.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it was like a really cool looking thing, and I was like really, curious to get to the gameplay. And there is gameplay, but then there's a lot of stuff where you're just essentially just like experiencing a scene and just kind of like forwarding text or like making just a very simple choice or whatever.
Okay.
But it's like, it really does not want you to know what's going on. You start off and it's like, first it's just some like battle scene between two toys. There's like some knight thing and some other guy, and it's like some like kind of Evangelion Gundam thing flying around in the sky attacking each other.
Okay.
and then you get into this like really like kind of like out of focus thing where like you're remembering like some of your earliest memories, and like I think the very first thing I remember, I was holding some toy, and then there's just like images of these different toys that are like cycling, you know, like a little wooden train or like a rubber duck and all these kinds of things. It's like, I can't remember what the toy was. I just remember this, and then there's this other memory, and like so you sort of like at times sort of see the scene and it kind of like fades in and out a little bit. It's hard to describe the visuals, but it was like everything was made up of a bunch of like bubbles or something.
Okay.
And then you get to this thing with this like weird pink plastic unpainted crab figurine and this little mushroom guy talking to you and talking about he's from someplace in outer space and he's trying to communicate with you, but you guys, the only way that they can broadcast to you is through dreams, but then you forget everything as soon as you wake up because you had to, you know, go poo pee pee and
Okay.
you know, and I, you know, we don't have these kind of bodily restrictions. We don't have to get rid of our waste or whatever. And then he's like, I need you to choose which of these galaxies to eliminate. And you just have to go on the name, but one name is it's like a string of like random letters, and the other name is like a string of random numbers with decimal points. And then you make your choice, and it's like, okay. And then somehow, I don't even remember how it transitions to this. You end up looking at like, oh, I think you like, yeah, they say something about Dome King Cabbage, and you have to become the Dome King Cabbage or something like that. And you
Or dome?
Dome.
Okay.
And then you end up looking at this like video game menu. It looks kind of reminiscent of like something out of a Dreamcast or whatever, but then it's like they also like use sort of Game Boy-esque verbiage or whatever. And there's like 4 games there. One of the games is Dome King Cabbage.
Okay.
But you can look at the other games and you can get like little previews of them, and they're all different styles. Like one of them looks like an N64 game, but then it goes from something like super peaceful to like super violent. But anytime you click on one of these games that's not Dome King Cabbage, then this little character pops up and it's like, oh, please insert the cartridge.
Oh, okay.
There's like no cartridge inserted. I'm like, oh, okay. And so like I look at each one of them, and then I went into Dome King Cabbage. And then, this is probably the part that you saw, I'm just playing some like standard like top-down JRPG.
Yeah.
And I'm like waking up in my mom's house, and it's like this sort of like tropey kind of satirical kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's the big day, it's the day of your final test or whatever.
Right.
And like, you're like, Mom, I can't find my amulet. And she's like, oh, I think you left it in the bar. And so then you can like walk around the town and talk to various people before going on to like the main objective. But even the art style is interesting because it's this like sort of mashup between like sort of like cleaner like polygon models, but then like pixel artwork characters and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you like end up in this sort of you talk to the elder because you've finished whatever preparations you have, and then you're going to go through this like warp gate, and you talk to the elder and you like basically pick your Pokemon.
Okay.
And like one Pokemon is just like a wolf, another is I forget what the third one is, and then another one is like a blob, and it's like it's very clear that like he even says like if you just want something useless or whatever, you can take the slime, and it's like, okay. And then the wolf guy seems to be the way to go, but it's like, all right, I went with the slime anyways as my companion. And then you do like a boss fight. He like reanimates this dinosaur skeleton, and you fight the dinosaur skeleton, and it goes down in a couple of hits. And he's like, okay, you're ready. You know how to use your magic and stuff. And then you like go through this warp gate. The whole town's there, seeing you off on your journey. And then the batteries die on the game system that you're playing on, and then you're like in this whole other scene is like back in the like stop motion toy aesthetic, and the kid like and then the device looks like a switch, and he pops open the like back, and it's like, oh, the batteries are dead. But the batteries are like these like little like living characters that look like teeth stuck together.
What the hell?
It's like, what's going on? And then he like checks back and forth with his goober driver. And there's like this weird little exchange between them. And the goober driver is like, yeah, I'm like using like voice to text. And so like you get all these like text messages of him like yelling at other cars in traffic.
Okay.
And then he shows up and then you just see a bunch of scenes of this goober driver taking you to like all of these different places around the world. Like you're having an adventure like Earthbound or something. There's like some sushi shop with like an octopus chef and like all of these gas stations and stuff like that. And weird random scenarios, and then it's just kind of the end of the demo. It's like, okay, Dumb King Cabbage. I don't know what's
I can't tell if I
happening
would
next.
be really into this or really feel like it was a nightmare.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you like Earthbound, if you like Katamari and those kind of vibes,
And you're a weird sicko.
I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I don't know if you will ever play anything beyond that part, the RPG part. If there will be other genres, I don't know.
I imagine probably.
Yeah.
The next one I saw was Sorry We're Closed. Or I played it. I don't know why I said I saw it. I mean, I saw it and I played it. It's gay Silent Hill, baby.
Oh, right.
It is great. I was really into it. You play as this girl Michelle, I think, and she is. It starts. You're in an apartment building. I'm not sure if you're in New York, but you're somewhere. And you hear the neighbors having an argument about. One of them runs a bar or something, and the other one is like. They're like, you got to take a couple of days off. You like keep screwing up your shifts or whatever, blah, blah. And like, so you immediately get a sense of like, there's like a little community or like a found family kind of a thing in this building. Like the other characters are there, or maybe that guy's a dick. I don't know. And then you go to your apartment and you kind of look around and you're like, oh, I left the dishes out. Let me put these dishes back, And it's got a cool, like kind of neon sort of grimy neon kind of aesthetic, in the real world. It kind of evoked Killer in Paradise.
Oh, Paradise Killer. Yeah.
They're I'm very, very tired. Paradise Killer, a little bit. Which turned out the artist did some of the like painted art for that game, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so then you clean the dishes and you go to bed. And while you're asleep, you have like a sleep paralysis demon, kind of a dream. And this big pink thing comes in and is trying to get you to like be its like girlfriend, kind of. And you've mentioned that you have an ex, but she's not around. So then this demon is whatever. And then you wake up and you're like, okay, that was weird. But then you have this third eye kind of like gouged into your forehead.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, okay, that seems weird. So then you go up to the roof, and the door is different, and you're like, okay, well, Robin and I hang out up here. She's the other girl who's told to like take a couple of days off from work, I think. But this seems weird. And then you go on the roof, and then you're in like a full-on Silent Hill like nightmare subway. And I was just like, I love this game. And then Robin is there, and she's got like a demon tail. And she knows more than you might have expected about this kind of stuff. And she's like, okay, yeah, so you have a third eye that's been kind of forcefully awakened here. So you're going to be able to see more than a normal human could see. So you can push spacebar. I was using WASD for this, but you can play controller too, I think. And it opens like this area around you that gives you a third eye, kind of like, and it shows you the different nature of things around you. So a lot of times it'll like clean the area up and it looks like regular, but sometimes it'll make things that are weird like be real. And definitely I forgot to use it a couple of times when there were like thorns in front of a staircase, and I was like, guess I just gotta take damage and raw dog this, and like went down, and I was like, later I saw someone else playing and they used the third eye and the thorns all just went away.
Oh.
And I was like, damn it. I was like, why didn't I think of that? And I now realize that there were some items in a cage that if I used my third eye, the cage was probably gone. God damn it. Anyway, yeah. So then you use your third eye, see this little scene of this lady like chopping this guy up for money,
Jeez.
like mugging him on the So like I mean, people are like being influenced by demons or something. I don't know. Like bad stuff's going on. But then she leaves this crazy looking axe embedded in the guy. So then you get this axe, and then a bit of a theme. There were a couple of games that did this, but so normal walking around is tank controls third person, like Silent Hill 1 or 2 or 3. And when you attack, it goes first person. So you can mash with the axe, on these like weird rat freaks, And if you go into the third eye, you see the heart of the beast, which is its weak point. But the drawback is you can only attack the heart if you're in third eye mode.
Okay.
Whereas if you're not, you can attack it anywhere, but it'll take less damage. So a little later, Robin gives you a gun and gives you a little, like, it's like a weird demon gun. But you do a little tutorial, and you can then shoot things in the heart or just kind of hit it from farther away, because the third eye is only like 10 feet around you, so then I was like wandering around in this Silent Hill thing. I like fed this lady like a moldy sandwich in a bathroom stall, because
Okay.
she seemed like a demon. Then she tried to eat me.
Oh.
And then I died. And I was like, well, this is sick. But yeah, it looks really good, and the vibes of it are very, very good. And like it's so accurate to call it gay Silent Hill that when I said that to someone else like hours later when I was showing them around, I was like, oh, yeah, this is gay Silent Hill. The creators of the game were like, gay Silent Hill? Hell yeah. That I ended up talking to them for like a half an hour. So it was sick. Anyway, yeah, so that one's called Sorry We're Closed, and it's really good.
Nice. The next one I didn't actually play because I kind of know what to expect from it, so I didn't need a demo. But it's Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. It's the next interactive documentary thing from Digital Eclipse. But Chris Kohler has been one of the guys working on these, and he was there.
Yeah.
And I've known him for 20 years or more
Oh,
back
cool.
in the fan site days. So he worked on the making of Karateka, and he worked on Atari 50.
Yeah.
And
which
so
is
this,
so good.
yeah,
Those
so
are
this is
great.
kind of the next one in that series. So we were just kind of chatting about it and just like doing all these projects back to back, and and then just recently being acquired by Atari.
Yeah.
And kind of like just how it's like
Does that pose like rights problems for them?
it doesn't. What's nice
Okay.
is that it like
Because it's documentary, I guess it wouldn't matter really.
it allows them just that stability. Like they're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
allowing them to like basically operate independently because they have lots of other things that are in the works with all these other publishers and things like that. So because they also
So
did like the
cool.
Cowabunga collection and all that.
Yeah. I love that they're doing these things.
Yeah.
It's so neat.
And I was watching somebody else demo over the shoulder. And if you don't know Jeff Minter, which is fairly common, maybe one of the more familiar things you might know is Tempest 2000 that was on the Jaguar.
Yeah.
So he's made lots of psychedelic stuff, and we were talking about that because like Jeff Minter is one of these people who is like a legend in the UK PC gaming scene.
Yeah.
But in the US, a lot of people don't know about him, and so putting together all of these games and then kind of his story and like all of these different photos and stuff of him back in the day, showing it at different trade shows, showing games at different trade shows and stuff like that, and going through the timeline and all that is a way to get to know this and talking about that challenge of like a lot of people's reaction was like, well, I don't know anything about Jeff Minter, so I don't care, or like I don't want to see it. It's like, but that's the point.
That's
like,
the point.
That's the
Yeah.
point, is to learn about these different creators, and and Jordan Mechner in the last one. But what's nice is that they do have an understanding of that dynamic, and he's saying that like, it's sort of like the long-term aspect of this series is that as they continue to work on them and make them and release them, that like eventually they'll be able to like
Package
do
them.
bundles and things
Yeah.
like that. So it's like you can get a bunch of these in one go and like learn about these different creators and things like that over time.
Yeah.
There was a really funny moment while we were talking about this specifically, where the guy playing the demo was like, "Oh, so this is a real guy?"
Yeah.
Because I guess he was like thinking he was playing something like Immortality or whatever.
Right.
He was just like looking at like all of this like.
Which, like, fair enough. There were like 8 games that were like playing with the nature of your understanding of reality at Day of the Devs. So, fair question, honestly.
Yeah, so that was really funny. But he's also been working with somebody. So they're playing it smart because he's working with somebody who's already in the process of making a film documentary about Jeff Minter.
Okay.
And so like rather than like redoing all that work from scratch, it's like they're partnering together and like they're producing a lot of the little like mini clips and stuff that are in there as you go through the timeline.
Cool.
And just that whole dynamic of like the best way to give people historical context for games is to make it interactive.
Right. Yeah.
To allow you to go through these things at your own pace. Maybe watch a clip here. Maybe listen to some music here. Play a prototype there. They have a prototype that's in there from like a completely unreleased PC system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, what a nightmare to have to, like, I guess, do they just recode all of these
Yeah,
things?
they do a lot of the coding.
That's
there.
bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, and like with Karateka, they did like a remake of that game to the spec of a PC that basically never exists, but they're like kind of like targeted 90s spec, and so like it's not a remake necessarily of like what you would get if they remade it today. But they remade it for a fictional 90s PC system.
And then they're like emulating a fictional PC in the thing, basically?
Sort of.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and so I'm curious, like, what else is in there. But there's a lot of different games in there. It's like Attack of the Mutant Space Camels, I think, is one of the big ones.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Llamasoft.
Llamasoft. Next one I checked out, which I really liked, was called Two Strikes, which is early access right now on Steam, but targeting Q2, I think, next year for other stuff. But super awesome samurai fighting game. Kind of a fighting game. It's like Dive Kicker or whatever, or like
The bartender told me about this.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, I'm trying to get a coffee, and like all I've got's Red Bull. I'm like, okay, I guess. And as he's getting me my Red Bull, he's like, "You got to check out that Two Strikes game over there. It's like Bushido Blade." I'm like, dude, you're looking pretty young to be making a Bushido Blade reference right now.
Yeah.
This is sweet.
Well,
how did you get this gig?
I started talking to the people who were working at the booth, and like, I was like, oh yeah, so it's like Bushido Blade, and they're like, hell yeah. And I'm like, okay, sick. But it's like samurai gun, Bushido Blade, and there's no shooting to my knowledge, but like each character, I think there are 8 characters, and each one has different move sets. So it becomes kind of about like learning the capabilities of all these characters, and everybody goes down in very few hits, right?
2 strikes.
It's called 2 strikes, yeah. Sometimes it's like if you hit them with a strong, they go down. If you hit them with a 3 little ones, they go down. You know? So it's like not literally always 2 strikes, but it's like
it's
2
not,
good ones, and
it's not like Bushido Blade or Power Stone where you're like running around an arena. Like you're side by side fighting game.
It's a 2D side scrolling. Very beautiful. Like the art style is really cool. The characters are all black and white, kind of hand drawn look, and then the backgrounds are more like painterly.
Yeah,
kind of,
like a wall scroll.
Like a wall scroll. Yeah, exactly. And so like some of the characters I played, of course, the girl with 2 blades who's like all crouched down, and so she has like really wide, fast dodges and light attacks. Some of the characters, like their light attack, they do 2 attacks, but you can cancel it with a dash, but their strong attack will dive forward and lunge, but you can't cancel it. So if someone reads it, you're screwed, but there are a bunch of different feints. You have different feints, so you can fake, like, the characters I played each had 2 different feints, and one is like kind of a dashy feint, and one of them is like an overhead strong attack feint, And so it becomes, I love games like this where it's less about actually the fighting and more about just getting in your opponent's head and like
Yeah,
screwing with
like
them.
Nidhogg.
It's like it's very much more in the camp of like Nidhogg or those kind of thing. Yeah, and I love that kind of stuff. I love Bushido Blade, and so like I really got a kick out of it, and I was doing okay at it actually too, which is really fun. And there's a lot more depth here than a lot of these because each character does have different movesets completely. One of the characters attacks. She has 3 swords, attacks multiple times, but can't dash backwards.
Oh.
So you like basically just have to be aggressive. All the characters can block. If you block on perfect timing, you get a parry.
Nice.
And it goes like blue, and it's like, psh. Yeah. And so I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. I really liked it. Yeah, 2 strikes.
Sick.
Very cool.
And then the last one I've got right now is I got to play Flux,
Yeah.
which is from the makers of Hohokam, and really like it's one like when I first saw it, like I just sniffed that's what it was, even though I haven't really put a lot of time into Hohokam, and just like
Yeah.
the art style is very similar, except rather than being like a side-scrolling 2D thing, it is this like full 3D open world that you're flying around. With these little pencil-nosed guys and these weird little creatures and stuff, and you got the Berglund Buells, Isla.
The what?
The Berglund Buells.
Okay. Love that.
Yeah, so they've got names like Buells and Glebes, and then they're just sheep.
Just called sheep?
Yeah, the
That's
sheep are just
funny.
called sheep.
That's really funny.
And
But they fly, right?
yeah, they sort of
Yeah.
float, like
Yeah.
cloudish floating sheep.
Like sheep, yeah.
Yeah, like sheep do.
Yeah.
And then actually kind of reminds me of Space Station Silicon Valley. You had like
Oh,
sheep
sure.
that kind of floated. But yeah, so you ride this bird. You get to customize your character and your bird right before you start.
I love that.
And you fly in, and your aunt and your uncle are in this place, like high above the clouds. And your aunt is a zoologist. Your uncle is like a shepherd.
Okay.
And so they kind of teach you about different aspects of these creatures. And a lot of it is about, it's kind of like a more open, free form, like Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
So you know, at least in the tutorial, like you're asked to go out and find these creatures and sort of catalog them and put them into your little Pokedex-ish thing. And what's neat is that when you find something, you have to identify it. And so there will be sort of like a multiple choice of, okay, you know, this named creature, this type of Buell lounges around and suns itself on rocks, or
Okay.
like this creature, this Cosmet, you know, it's got a pink nose. And so you can kind
That's
of like
cool.
kind of do like this whole matching game. It's like, okay, which of these descriptions looks like the thing I'm looking at right now?
Right.
And then similarly, you know, you have to kind of like go along with behaviors and things like that to figure out how to find certain creatures or identify them correctly. You know, you can like get on a perch and look at things from afar and see what they do.
This is cool because like every time we've seen this,
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like, this looks great, but what's the game?
Right.
And
yeah.
that actually sounds really fun to me.
Yeah. And
Classifying them.
there's also whistles that the zoologist has and that your bird learns to mimic.
Oh, cool.
And by whistling at certain creatures, then they'll follow you around as the flock.
Right. Right.
And I didn't get deep enough into it because it's kind of a slower paced game.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even though I didn't feel like I got that far. It was like, I'm taking a lot of time right now. So probably get up and let somebody else get in
It
here.
looks like a very relaxed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Berglund Buells, specifically,
Do they burgle?
yes.
Oh.
They came in and they stole all of the zoologist's whistles.
Oh no.
And then they hide out.
Right.
And so you have to like figure out how to flush them out. And so one of them hid in this meadow. And so you take one of the sheep and you let the sheep munch away all the grass.
Graze. Okay.
And then the last, because it's kind of got like this camouflage thing, and then this last little piece of grass sticking out is not a piece of grass. It's like the backside of the Berglund Buell. And so then you go and you pull it out of the hole and you yank it out of the hole and it runs away and then you get the whistle out of the hole.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then another thing, one of the creatures that they don't know a lot about is called like a rainbow cosmet or something like that. You're observing it from the perch, and then I guess when it sees you, or I don't know exactly, for some reason the way it reacts, it then lowers the cloud layer.
Oh.
And then you can explore this new section of the world. So that seems to be like how the world expands, is you just find ways for the clouds to go down, and then there's a new area that you can get to.
That's cool.
So
yeah, because they're like kind of like islands, sort of surrounded by clouds.
yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily
Tops of
islands, but
mountains or
like
something.
you're on
Yeah,
the top of a mountain or something, and
That's
it's just
cool.
get go further and further down.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looks really cute.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so you're done. You're
I am
out?
done.
I've got
That's what I saw.
I've got 3 left, but 2 of them are really short. So, all right, next one I watched. I didn't play it, but Whisker Squadron Survivor. It's
Yes.
also in early access already on computer. It's Vampire Survivors meets Star Fox, made by the people who made Race the Sun, which I love. I love Race the Sun. It's a roguelike. It has upgrade progression. So that's kind of the Vampire Survivor part, where it looks and plays kind of like Star Fox. You're going down tunnels and shooting at stuff, and you have different abilities and whatever. And then, you kind of survive for 30 minutes, whatever, and the level gets harder as it goes. And you kind of make it as far as you can, and then you can get upgradable stuff, persistent stuff that makes your builds better. You do X more damage or whatever over the course of your progression. And beautiful, like, very neon, very cool looking, neat, like, cat drawing, like, characters. It reminded me of, like, a Saturday morning cartoon, or like one of those, or like that Team 17 game that was like spacey and had like kind of like that cartoon kind of vibe to it. But yeah, it looked really cool, and I really love Race the Sun. So if you're into any of those things, I'm not great at Star Fox because I never really had them growing up, but like I like Vampire Survivor, so who knows?
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I should check out some footage of that.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like trying to put those two things together. It's like, that's crazy.
I mean, it's Vampire Survivor just in the like structure and kind of progression.
Okay.
It doesn't look or resemble or play like Vampire Survivor, and you're actually shooting, so it's more like there are some passive stuff, like you'll get drones or whatever, but like as you upgrade, but like it's still shooting, so it's you're Star Foxing through and shooting at stuff. It's like a shmup, but behind the ship, 3D. Going forward. And if you go through tight spaces, like if you boost through tight spaces, you get a kind of a damage boost, I think they said, or maybe a defense boost. So there's like skill-based rewards to, like, if you do certain things, you'll get certain like boosts to your performance, which seems really cool. So it's an active, very active kind of game, with Vampire Survivor-esque progression, I should say. Last 2 were more physical games. One of them is called Flux. It was just a table that had a bunch of, let me think, 10 maybe arcade buttons, 5 on each side. I'm thinking 5. And
yeah. Oh yeah, they had the toilet paper game there. Which
which
we've played several times, and it's out.
Yeah.
But that's one of the interesting things about indie showcases like this, is sometimes you'll find things that, like, this has been out for a while.
Yeah.
But everyone's talking about it because they never saw it.
They never saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flux, really cool table. Blue side, red side. Each button pertains to a bar, and it lights up, and you hit the button, and whoever's side gets them all first, and the order is randomized every time. So whoever gets them first, you win. It doesn't keep score. That's all it does. So like people were just like, okay, best of 5, and then you just do it. It was really fun. And then the hit of the show, I would say, it was drawing crowds. People were cheering. People were yelling. Was this thing called How, and then in parentheses, not to get hit by a self-driving car.
Yes.
And so this was outside. It was a big game. Giant projection screen with a camera on top of it pointing down at this black and white, looks like a crosswalk, basically. Black and white striped kind of padded flooring outside on the cement. and then there was a little mat that said goal toward the projector screen. And then there were like 3 traffic cones, and the edges of it were demarcated with some like caution tape or whatever. And the goal of it was you push the crosswalk button at the far end, and you have to get forward toward the projector screen, toward the screen, and get to the goal mat, right? Without being identified as a human.
Yeah.
So you have to trick the AI into not recognizing you as a person. But theoretically, the AI is also, you consent to like sending your data at the end by jumping on the pad again so that you're training the AI to recognize all your bullshit. So people were like rolling, but then it got good at noticing that.
Okay.
And so they had to stop. People were putting their jackets in front of themselves, but then it got better at noticing that. So like, I mean, that was the perception. I don't know how like really that, but like, the win ratio when we first noticed it at like 3 was like 14% human win rate, and then by the end of the night it was almost up to 40%. Like
wow.
people were finding ways. So like Jason and Sophia and Jack and I were like watching it for like maybe 45 minutes. We're coming up with different ideas. Jason he did the coat thing and it worked. Then he held up a sign, like a big metal sign, and just kind of ran toward the thing. It didn't even notice him. It was perfect. And then his third one was he just sprinted along the side and then ducked under the camera's view angle. So it almost caught him, but like there's a little bit of, hesitancy. It almost caught him. And then he made it, And so when I went to go, I was wearing like a tulle kind of like PC sort of leopard print skirt thing. So that was billowy, that was good. So I crouched down, and I had the idea that I took my phone and my friend Jack's phone, and I was going to blind the camera with lights. I was going to like put the flashlights on my head and go beep, boop, beep, boop, and in my thinking, I'm like, it'll be like Inside Man or whatever. You like point a light at the camera and it can't handle it. And so then I crouched down and just kind of like just skittled forward, and my hair was blocking my face and my skirt was billowed out, and I had these 2 lights on my head, and it didn't detect me as a human being at all. It thought I was a vehicle because I had 2 headlights.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. Yeah, but people would like cheer and yell and scream whenever anyone made it. They sent a dog through, and it made it, and everyone was like, "Yeah!"
Is that the dog with the hat?
I don't know. It was a little. I don't think it had a hat on.
Okay, because there's a lot of photos of that dog
there.
going around. Yeah.
But people sent a dog there, and as soon as it got to the goal, everyone was like, "Yeah!" Woo, Yeah, it was really fun, and like we tried a bunch of different stuff,
which is a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
for the self-driving car not to recognize a dog.
Well, and anytime you win, it was like, congratulations, you win. Although you would have been hit by a self-driving car, right. So it's like, did you win? It's like, we tried having Jack run at it while we threw jackets down at him from above, and that did not work. It caught him. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was really cool. And that was it. There was a bunch of other stuff that I glanced at, but nothing. Yeah,
I mean, that's only like half of the games that were there. So definitely check out other people's impressions if you can find them for like stuff like Anton Blast and they had the like Enter the Gungeon like gun game there. Yeah,
and there was the one that I wanted to play, but the line was too big. Was the your landlord is a witch? Or whatever.
Yeah. So-and-so is a slumlord, yeah.
It's a slum, yeah. J.C. McCune is a slumlord and also a witch or something. It's called something like that. It looked really cool. Yeah, there's just a lot of really cool stuff there, and a lot of them have demos that you can try at home. I know Crypt
like
Master
Crow Country was there when we played that demo earlier.
Crypt Master was there, and I wanted to play that. That has a demo that you can play at home. So I was trying to prioritize stuff that wasn't accessible at home, and I was like, okay, if you have a demo, I'll play it later. Yeah, but check it out. Day of the Devs.
Cool Heck stuff. Yeah. Thank you for watching. This is fun. Went that a lot longer than I expected, but it's always good to talk about new games.
It'd be like hour plus. The Book of Blood, dude. Once that opens, you don't get out under an hour.
But
I probably talk more than you.
Yeah, we are Easy Allies. Thank you for checking us out. Check out our podcasts and streams and all that good stuff. And if you like what we do, check out patreon.com/easyallies because we are supported by our viewers. and we will see you soon.